Okay, so thank you for attending today's webinar. Today we're going to talk about hybrid quantum AI agentic framework for programmable therapeutics. Let me control my screen to in full screen. Let's check this. So actually, after my introduction, that we have a guest speaker, uh, Thomas Cofield. Actually, he is a subject matter expert, founder of the Digital Era Computing and the former director at Drug Discovery Research Lab at Mayo Clinic. So he's supposed to talk about the rise of the quantum-related drugs, but actually, unfortunately, because emergence health condition that he cannot make today, so I will cover some of his topics, and then I will go into the main topic, so architecting programmable therapeutic with hybrid quantum AI systems. So basically, I've been in the two lore. So first will be that I introduce this as a founder and the CEO of the Tech IPM is a strategic advisor company for the innovation and their IP. As you know that I'm a patent attorney also. So and the second part will be that I joined a company that leading this space, Super Quantum. So as a strategy IP and BD lead in the United States. So I will introduce somewhat in relation to my recent lore, and then we have a Q&A session. So first topic is the rise of quantum adaptive drugs. It's a new paradigm for the next generation of medicine. So this is actually the Tom provide me his abstract about his idea. So I just based on his idea just to make some slots. So what it try to deliver is that the what we are going to talk about today is the next paradigm in medicine. So medicine is reaching conceptually boundary. So we are no longer limited by chemistry alone, right? So but we how we define intervention, right? So incremental improvement are no longer sufficient. So improving existing drug classes does not solve fundamentally dynamic diseases. So new therapeutic paradigm is emerging. So we need a new way to think about how therapies impact with biological systems. So what the core question? So the old question is in relation to therapeutics, what molecule should we design, right? Usually the drug discovery process is small molecule basis drug development. So traditional drug discovery focus on finding the right chemical structure. And the new question is what behavior should we engineer? So we focus shift from kind of like controlling how therapy behavior over time in the body. So this shift changes how we define a drug. So a drug becomes a dynamic system interaction, not just a static entity. So what the limitation? So what the limit of current pharmacology? So the success of a small molecule medicine is still the majority of mainstream. So 40 years of the therapeutic success, small molecules have transformed the modern medicine across many diseases. And scalable and manufacturable, they can be produced reliably and deployed globally, but still essential but not sufficient. So they remain important, but cannot solve all emerging biological challenges. And the category mismatch means that biology is dynamic and non-linear. So human is a biological system, right? So biological system constantly changing and interact across multiple scales. and drugs are static and localized. So traditional drugs assume fixed target and stable conditions. This mismatch drives failure, so result is high clinical failure rate despite strong science. So where the model breaks down, so for example, the brain disorders like Alzheimer's disease or Parkinson's disease or other kind of like a nervous system disease in the brain, that this involve the complex dynamic neural networks, not single target, and also like cancer. So cancer evolution, tumors adapt and evolve, and making static treatment ineffective and over time. So in relation to this stuff, actually, the my core kind of like a business partner, actually, we developing some new venture based on our new technology that we call physics info and inverse AI. Actually, the very related to this topic because this is kind of like some software way and also like interact with the drug type of the human body. But actually, the what we develop is actually the we look at this one like tumors adapt and evolve, making static treatments ineffective and over time. So usually that what we focus on is to the, for example, the screening or some of the initial treatment planning that actually that we just scan, for example, in the breast cancer of the woman, and we just like we just have a, for example, MRI scan of the your breast, and then look at the like tumor status, and then. And then after that, actually, that you start your treatment, for example, the 1 month or 2 months, and then you look at the what the treatments go, and then remeasure. So through the MRI scan of the your breast cancer size of other things. And then it find out that whether the kind of like a treatment was effective or not, and then you can change the according to that. So we found this one is kind of like tumors evolving and then so 1 month later that it is already developed somewhat very fast. So we need to find out the innovative way to handle this problem, and then we just measured at the time of the screening and then utilizing we call physics of the MRI scan device and also like utilizing AI. So we predict 1 month or 2 months later what the tumor's evolution will be looks like. So you can have a more dynamic way. It's a very similar concept to this. So that's why I just talk about more about additional topic that I didn't prepare. And then immune system dysregulation, so immune response coordinated and dynamic, not easily controlled by a single agent. And chronic disease, the same thing, require continuous regulation rather than episodic intervention. And one of the like in the there are several grand challenges in current health system. So the one of them is a non-continuation of treatment, right? Because there are several reasons, and so this kind of the chronic disease require the continuation of the treatment. So this is the one thing that we can think about it. Okay. And then quantum adaptive drugs. So Tom actually that provide this terminology. So so new definition of a therapeutics. So new, not defined by chemical structure. So molecule alone does not determine therapeutic behavior, especially complex biological environment. So not defined by the receptor binding. So binding affinity is insufficient when system behavior depends on discrete and dynamic interactions. So defined by the dynamic system interaction. So this therapy is defined by how it influences the system over time and across multiple scales. So quantum-informed system modeling required. So the design of these therapies rely on quantum level understanding of the molecular interactions and energy landscape that classical model approximate poorly. So this is why the term called quantum and adaptive. So core paradigm shift is static molecules and dynamic interventions. The therapies evolve over time based on system feedback rather than fixed dose. And the local effect is become the distributed system engagement. So biological system behave as a coupled networks require discrete intervention strategy. And the rules-based and state-based, and so the intervention spans on probabilistic system state, not fixed threshold, targeting, shaping, and also like the therapy reshape the system energy and signal landscape rather than acting on a single receptor. And then deterministic targeting and probabilistic control. So biological behavior emerges from probabilistic interactions along with the quantum-informed reflection of the system dynamics. So therapeutics as dynamic field, so time evolving intervention. So therapy changes continuously as the biological system evolve. So this brings influence, so effect progress across network rather than remaining localized. And then behavior definition defines function. So the therapeutic effect emerges from system level dynamics, not a single interaction. So field-based interaction model. So the intervention can be understood as a shaping dynamic field acting on the system, consistent with how physical interactions are modeled as quantum and statistical level. Okay, so the engineering the response. So the four fundamental responses are shape. So define how the therapy altered the system's structure and persistent, ensure the therapeutic effort is stable over time, and coordination aligns multiple parts of the system simultaneously, and state gating that adapt the response based on current condition. Okay, so you can look at it. I will share the presentation. So from concept to reality. So I just researched the example that how this quantum adaptive drug can be applied at the current state of art. And one example is the brain response stimulation. So it's kind of like you can think of the like brain neurological kind of like disorders. The one of the treatment is the stimulation. So is kind of like a direct neural activities and implantable system continuously monitor brain signals such as the local field potentials. You know about the several. I know about in Boston. based in Boston. I know several the startup actually the innovating this space. So implementable system or the wearable system, and then also response in real time and state-dependent intervention and realize neural biomarkers and clinical validation and deployment. Okay, so another example is a closed-loop drug delivery. So most of this topic is directly related to drug delivery. So after you do drug discovery and development, and the delivery design is also very important. Is a kind of like a frontiers of the interact with the human body with the drug. So continuous monitoring required, and then so algorithm-driven dosing and feedback controlled therapy and proactive analytical control and clinical adoption and scale is one. I found that this is I researched this over the internet, so is from the disclosed information. So that means is currently is working on and the state art. And then my topic, so I briefly go over because unfortunately the time could not make the talk today, but maybe we can have opportunity later because he promised me that he maybe get over and then he maybe have a set up another kind of like event and then we can share more details. So architecting programmable therapeutics with a hybrid quantum system, AI system is my topics. So I'm not a subject matter expert like a drug discovery or the development delivery or whatever, like because of my background is physical science. I major in physics and also like been more than 30 years in high tech industry, all like emerging technology innovation and IP strategy. So my fit into is kind of like what kind of like infrastructure platform based on the technology like quantum computing and AI can be power this kind of new innovation in new medicine and biopharma medical technology. So that's my acting area. So this is my idea that how we can be done this very fundamentally important and then maybe the new paradigm of the new medicine is can I just looking at the like based on my background in technologies to quantum AI. I just proposed a quantum AI system, and later that as I mentioned that I joined recently with a quantum Q. Quantum actually they develop the infrastructure, not just focus on healthcare. They just develop the general framework and the platform can apply to any vertical industry, including healthcare, life sciences, and financial sectors, and other area like energy system, other things. So my role is to be focused on the platform available, make available the platform to be using in the innovation like this kind of like a programmable therapeutics and other like biomedical discoveries that I already did the before in several before in my webinars, and also other topics in healthcare in general, like precision medicine or other topics in the life sciences, and also like we are planning like other. Mission critical systems require like the financial system and like energy system or something like that. So that's my role to develop like IP and also like utilizing IP and innovation to collaborate with the like industry leaders in healthcare life sciences and other sectors to utilizing this very important platform. Okay, so having said that, I'm just saying about my topic. So the breathing paradigms from adaptive drugs to programmable system. So what I'm going to do is what a drug is and how a therapy behaves. So shift from molecular to system behavior. The therapeutic is no longer defined only by chemistry, but by how it operates over time inside the body. So behavior must be engineered, not assumed. So adaptive effect cannot rely on passive biology. They must be actively designed and controlled. Actually, though, with respect to this topic, actually, a little bit, this topic also, I have a collab with Tom, and then we recently do some research and submit a paper for the peer review journal about this type. So for example, that a lot of the healthcare AI application is focused on like a prediction something and then supporting something, but actually they are based on stochastic AI, the so-called like large language models, and is one example and all based on like a deep learning or machine learning or whatever, right? So what they predict is something in the probability. So that means that you can make sure that the what the percentage of the like within very concrete like we call deterministic way to say something in, but that's not actually the accepted in healthcare because you cannot post correct what the AI provided something in the treatment or whatever can be like feedback to again and then you do again because of the this is a human health, right? So what we develop is some of we also developing some the AI framework. We didn't develop new AI, but we just adopt the utilizing that other industry use. They call like a casual AI and then physics informed AI, and then we provide some additional layer to check that whether the traditional AI provides something in the healthcare meaning, and then we check that whether that is safe and then executable. So I will not talk about much more, but this is another layer that why we're looking at the like not just think about it's a fixed one and once apply pathway and then real just it's not acceptable in healthcare. So that's why that and we develop a new framework. So need an execution architecture. This is something to realize quantitative drugs. We need a system that can sense, predict, and act in real time. So missing layer is control architecture. So static drugs fail in dynamic biology. So fixed dosing cannot keep up with the continuous changing biological state. And adaptive intent requires closed-loop control. So without feedback and adjustment, adaptive therapies remain theoretical. So architecture becomes a therapeutic. Okay, so core architecture. So this is I designed the architecture that the sensing layer, so biological signals, captures real-time data, such as biomarkers, imaging, and then physiological signals, and prediction layer, AI models, so anticipate how the system will evolve under different intervention strategies, and control layer, and then adaptive intervention adjusts the therapy dynamic based on outcome and continuous feedback loop and ensure therapy evolve with the patient, not independently of them. Okay, so speed. Multi-scale modeling. So from molecule to system, the quantum simulation, molecular scale. So models interaction at atomic level. So binding, stability, and transport. AM modeling the system scale. So learns pattern across complex biological environment and patient variability. And breathing scale is essential and unified model action design space. So hybrid quantum AI stack, so quantum layer, physical truth engine, so provide accurate modeling of fundamental interactions. AI layer, the pattern and prediction engine, so learns from data to generalize across patient and conditions. And integration layer, decision synthesis, and combine both to produce actionable therapies and strategy. Outcome, design, control, capability, enable both creation and real-time adjustment therapies. And then agentic creation is intelligence in action. So I'm an expert in agentic AI. So I just this is not just completely the rigorous agentic AI that I just introduce kind of like adopt the term agentic operation. Okay, so it does not just mix with like a traditional agentic AI, including like concept design, kind of like a memory, everything. So it does not try to implement like a traditional agentic AI system, but it's just operating orchestration, the function of the agentic system. So scientific design is multiple objectives, so multi-balance, efficacy, safety, timing, and targeting simultaneously. So no single model can solve this, require distributed intelligence across specialized functions. So that's why we need the agentic system enable coordination. So each agent handle a specific task but collaborate toward the unified goal. And cross-adapt control is needed. And therapeutics as dynamic field. So time-evolved intervention, tertiary inference, and behavior-defined function and fixed-based interaction, field-based interaction model. So, so this is actually the I found one real life example of implementing this kind of like adaptable therapeutic based on quantum AI. So, if you're interested, you look at this one. And then I just summarize this. So, quantum flex platform realization is a quantum impulse drug delivery design. So the platform uses physics-based and quantum impulse simulation to model molecular interaction, diffusion behavior, and material property at high precision. So actually, I invited the founder and the CEO of this company, but he do not want to disclose at this stage. He told me like he had a lot of the file provisional patent application and is still developing. So he hesitated to do talk more. So all of this information based on that disclosed information in the company website. So, and then I independently do some research about this topic. So, having said that, this enables design of delivery systems, so non-operating and carriers materials whose behavior, such as risk, kinetic, and targeting, can be engineered rather than an empirical guess. And AI-driven system prediction. So, AI models simulate how this delivery system perform in real biological environment, incorporating variables such as tissues like heterogeneous blood flow and metabolic dynamics. So I just recommend to look at their website, and then if you are interested, then we maybe contact their professionals. Okay, so here is I just summarized this one. So maybe so outcome is a dynamic delivery system. So this is a new class of delivery system be able as a programmable therapeutic platform rather than a passive carriers. So drug delivery become an active controlled process rather than a fixed formulation. So here is like a special targeting and temporalities programmable. Okay, so I just provide additional thing. So, what kind of real world application? This field actually, I want to collaborate as the professionals and then pioneers in this field. That because as I mentioned, that we have an infrastructure to enable this kind of application. And then I have collaborated subject matter expert and pioneers innovator in this space to make this happen. So oncology is adaptive tumor response is one example. Neurology and kind of like chronic disease, one thing. And so it can be like a game changer, right? It's how we do. Well, redefine the therapeutic stack, the molecular element fundamental, yes. And continue to provide biological activity, yes. System layers enable control, so determines how the activity is expressed. So we can just keep the traditional, and then we can have additional layer add value. So therapy become a process, not a product, right? Continuous operation replace a one-time intervention. And so new IP and as just I strategic IP like expert. I have 20 years in IP and 30 years technology. I'm very well mixed is in the innovation and IP. So I know about how practically protect and exploit your IP. So I'm very expertise developing new IP in the emerging technology. So the multi-layer IP stack is like a software-defined therapy. So one good area that we can think about and continuous subject therapy. Okay, so regulatory transform, yeah, definitely. Yeah. This is a new type. So you may know that because it is usually I'm an attorney. I'm not just a patent. I'm a New York attorney. So usually the regulation is a part of the legal system, and they already behind like a speed of the innovation, right? Because they be precursor and then kind of like the risk factor is think about, right? So usually that if this kind of like program therapeutics is one of the like something show off as some mainstream, and then regulator like FDA will think about how to regulate this, right? Because this is a new innovation, new type, and then precursor of this one, maybe you may know about it like AI enabled medical device they call SAM. They usually that the software defined drug, right? It's a device. So SAMD, kind of AA and SAMD is the from last year, right? Active participation of the industry peers with the regulator about to try develop the new framework of the how to regulate, and that they have a several time of the like the open sessions, and also like have a kind of like the produce a lot of like white papers to review. All right, so that'll be the situation have happened for this one because this is an AI-enabled drug, and then it has a very consistent, like it's very consistent with the FDA kind of like goal to like make a safety and efficient like a treatment. So this is will be the another space that the regulator will be looking at that when this it will be the mainstream. And vision, like the therapist becomes self-optimizing system. Interesting, right? Minimal clinical intervention and integration with digital health ecosystem. That okay. So final takeaway: quantitative drug defined what? So new form of therapeutic behavior and hybrid quantum AI architecture define how. So make that behavior executable. So agentic operation define who, the intelligent driver system. So together, programmable, adaptable, autonomous medicine. So a new operating system for therapeutics. So having said, I'm not talking about this one. This is not main topic. I'm going to have maybe several other the separate sessions about this because of my lore. But anyway, because I just to show this, this is actually is a working platform is in the market, and it's sort of like it's already mature. So that's why that usually for 3 years I develop a lot of the innovation of mine and develop a lot of concept and then proper concept. But actually, I have a difficulty to realize in real life that my innovation can be working and collaborate with others. That's a situation because I'm person, right? So the fortunately, I met the CEO of this company at the CES in this January, and then I fascinated by the work, and then I proposed to be collaborate, and finally, we are going to collaborate. So, for example, then I just what is why I collaborate? Because this is an execution engine for programmable therapeutics. So this is not just for the programmable therapeutics because I'm have a bunch of the new design of the new kind of like application in healthcare and life science, including drug discovery and then this kind of therapeutics and precision medicine, everything. But for this topic, actually, this is an execution engine, right? So, and then it is already developed. It's already in the market, so we can utilize this one. Is beauty. That's why I collaborate. I can apply this one, and based on my innovative ideas and iterate, and then we can promote this one and collaborate with other industry leaders. So, from architecture to real world impact. So, SuperQ transforms hybrid quantum AI architecture into executable therapeutic system. This is a key. So platform operationalize sensing, prediction, control, and feedback into unified workflow. So multi-agent orchestration enable continuous adaptation rather than static intervention. So unified intelligence across the scale. So quantum layer enables molecular level precision modeling, interaction, and energy landscape, and AI layer captures system level dynamics and patient variability and disease evolution. So an iteration layer synthesize both into actionable therapeutic stage and a closed loop therapeutic control in practice. So real-time data ingestion from biological and clinical sensing system and practical modeling anticipate system response and disease progression and optimization engine dynamic adjusted therapeutic programs and dose timing targeting and continuous feedback ensuring alignment with the patient state. So, and then programmer therapeutics as an execution system, executable system is a very key. Spatial targeting, temporal control, and state-dependent activation, and adaptive timing. So, agentic orchestration is a nature, is agentic AI native this in the system. So, it's a distributed AI agentic coordinate modeling, simulation, optimization, validation, and the multi-objective decision-making balance, efficacy, safety, and system stability. And the secure and scalable and deployment ready is a key. So, okay, so thank you. And then I'm going to have some interactive like Q&A session. We'll stop here. So I really want from you that I know that I met several kind of subject matter expert in this field. So I really want to hear from you your insight about this field and also like your vision or whatever you want to share with relevance for this topic. I welcome anyone. You just share whatever you can introduce yourself and then what you're doing and then whatever you want to share, then you can talk about that. Uram, actually okay, so.
Alex, good to see you.
Yeah, it's good to
This is
see you.
Dr. Satyam.
Hmm.
How are you?
Oh, fine. How about you?
Good, good. So, how far is the maturity of combination of agentic and quantum there for when you want to really think about in terms of personalized medicine from a
Hmm.
actual
Hmm.
treatment
Hmm.
perspective, and how would like organizations like FDA treat something that is generated through these systems?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, first thing is that you know that I'm an expert in agentic AI, right? And then quantum computing is a recent one. So for the agentic AI purely, they already applied many area. And then I was very active in that space for over a year in last year. So I organized many different type of the webinar topic focus on agentic AI in healthcare and life sciences. But uh, to the point to your question about the integrating agentic AI and quantum. Yes. I didn't kind of like provide you like a very comprehensive answer of the what the current state of our art of the agentic AI in quantum computing or the integration. But to my understanding, because starting from this January, that I prepared at the end of last year that I focus on every year that my talk topic about late healthcare life science studies 3 years ago. And then the first year I focus on they call digital health. And then second year is AI in healthcare. And then half of the AI in healthcare is agentic AI. And then I now I the focus on this year the focus on quantum AI. So integrate the quantum and AI. So whenever I do what I'm doing is I really want to know about the state of art, the current like industry structure and what the ecosystem looks like. So and then the best way, this is my Noah, the best way of looking at it is not just looking at the like research over the disclose like material information. The better way, what I'm doing is to search for the expert in the field using the LinkedIn, and then so that's why that I organize a webinar of this kind of topic, and then try to invite the people, the professional in this field that may be interesting in the topic, right? And then to my understanding that I throw this link actually that I nearly 1,000 new network, and at least they are interested in this kind of like quantum plus AI topic. And then I own a few that they provide in the profile. They are working in the agentic AI powered quantum computing or something. I saw a few, right? So there are some. For example, the interesting things that I'm interested in is that, for example, NVIDIA. I have more than dozen expert have a link, and then one professional is the title is agentic AI research agentic AI developing AI agentic AI in NVIDIA. You know that NVIDIA is a very their key driving area is the physical AI, so robotics plus AI, and another AI area is agentic AI for the healthcare, and also they are recently driving quantum computing. And then I found that there was several people mention about their expert in quantum computing, but I never seen that even NVIDIA have a title like agentic AI plus quantum computing. And I always showed some professionals, not in the big company, they claim that they are doing some in the overlay space. So that means it's early stage, right? Because the professionals are not much. So it's very starting stage. So that's why I'm doing this one. It's a good time to do very innovative things, whatever you want, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's quantum AI. In fact, our second book will come out on quantum AI pretty
Mm-hmm.
soon. My co-author is also on this speak on the listening mode. But
Mm-hmm.
we are writing a book, but more from an engineering and operations perspective, but rather than the healthcare. So that's why I wanted to find out where the healthcare industry, who's adopting it, because I haven't seen any examples. As a former computational chemist and a physicist, uh,
Mm-hmm.
I follow the field, but I haven't seen any. So I thought you might have seen some maturity. So I think we are all in the same place then, as
Mm-hmm.
far
Mm-hmm.
as
Yeah,
healthcare is
that's
concerned.
that's a very very good insight because because as I mentioned that my focus on healthcare labs is in 3 years over my 30 years experience, right? I've been in whole tech area. I started from semiconductors and telecommunication, IT, and other AI, big data, blockchain, and all things. And then my recent focus over 3 years at healthcare and life sciences. So at least I can say that over the through the whole medical industry, how the status of quantum computing, right? So to my understanding that for example that I just look at the try to invite the people in the quantum computing space and then I always have a difficulty. I have a focus on healthcare and life sciences in quantum computing, right? Because of the mainstream, the quantum computing now is not in healthcare and life sciences, right? But it's emerging because I have a more connections through my endeavor that I have several people actually the very core person in the big pharmaceutical company based in quantum computing.
Mhm.
And so it's kind of like immersing. And also, I'm not sure whether they actually have what I mean, like nearly close to real life, like a drug development stage, utilizing quantum AI dimension. But I found that there are several the professionals have a like a quantum computing background and apply to drug discovery in the big pharma. I think that I didn't count my at least for my network. I have more than 20. So so it's emerging and then they're trying to do something in house, but not much. Yeah, in the for example, that there are for I'm in Boston, right? So I know about all the like Boston area like a healthcare biotech event, right? And then I cannot see much. Maybe I've never seen any like event in the focus on biopharma that actually the provide kind of like a healthcare and life science focused quantum computing, except that the one event that I saw that is that's a quantum computing in general event and not just to focus on healthcare and life sciences. There is a small section about the healthcare and life sciences. Was the same thing that I attended the CES and on January. You know that there's more than tens of thousands people gathered together, and there was a section about the digital health is on their topic in CES, but there was one day focus and there was a separate exhibition hall about the topic, and then I saw that there was one session about the quantum computing in healthcare. Right? So
So,
you can think about it,
yeah,
right?
Alex, I have so I'm a pharmaceutical scientist. I've been in the branded pharmaceutical drug business for 30 years. And the example you gave is a good closed loop system, good example of closed loop system with insulin and glucose, right, as the diagnostic. It's taken the FDA over 30 years to get comfortable that your glucose could automatically monitor, could automatically talk to your pump. And it's been a very gradual process, and largely in that case because insulin is a dangerous drug. Um, I wonder if the first applications of a system like this that you're developing would be used post-market, where there are multiple therapeutic options available, like in cardiovascular disease, where there are different kinds of statins, different kinds of medications used for different purposes for heart disease. Same thing maybe in diabetes and in obesity, where you can use a system like this to help doctors make better decisions with what their individual patient might need with much more consolidated information across, instead of them, I have a very good cardiologist and he has a ton of experience. He's probably been working for 40 years in the space, and he knows the clinical data that is available for different kinds of supplements and for different kinds of medications. And he does it from his head almost in terms of predicting what you should try, what I should try next, or what my wife should try next from a therapeutic perspective. I think maybe that's a great place to start where drugs are approved, multiple drugs exist across a therapeutic area, and very engaged
clinicians who are experts in their field um, could use some guidance for that is more based on evidence instead of just based on their next best guess
hmm
about kind of work.
hmm Oh yeah, I have something that to share with you that there are two things actually that I have in mind about the FDA regulation. Right? So one thing that I have a very similar case of like a programmer, like a therapeutics drug is I'm not sure whether you heard about PDURS, is a prescription drug like related to software. Like, it's a kind of like a F is have a they have FDA have a regulation for this. So you can look at the they already have a regulation. The what this is a software device, right? So that means actually it is it like tied with the chemical drug, right? So they're looking at the monitoring the drug usage, like the patient using the drug, and then this is a monitoring device utilizing the drug and then monitoring the drug usage and doses and safety, everything. So they are like what they call like the integrate with the drug, real life drug, right? And then FDA already approved that the use of this kind of software device. It's kind of like a SAMD type, and then integrate with the drug. So actually, whenever you want to do like on the market, actually there's tight regulation about the you comply with. But anyway, FDA approved this, right? So, but in this case, actually, you can think about like it's kind of like analogs. So the programmable drug is to be not outside the software device, is embedded within the drug, right? So we can have a very good reasonably kind of like to apply that kind of like already developed approved case of the like SD the that kind of like the software to integrate the draw. But actually, we can say that like this is inside of the draw, right? So that's how I think that we can make some argument. But as I mentioned, that because that's one I actually that I have something that a problem because for example last year, yeah, a lot of people talk about the AI enabled the medical device, but actually the problem is that because the additionally for the AI, traditional AI, they usually call machine learning type. But what happened that this AI is agentic AI. It's much intelligent, right? And then, for example, they can adapt your therapeutic plan, right? And then it'll be whenever you intended initially the FDA clearance that it'll be uses of this one and then whatever expected. Even the FDA have some protected that against like pre-planning about whatever the changing in the software upgrade or something like that. But this AI, ADDI is more than the traditional AI. And then I tried to propose that we prepare this one and then contacted some of the officer in FDA and then show my idea that they completely ignore because that's not mainstream, right? Once what usually the regulator doing is that it's a mainstream. Something happened, and then require a lot of industry people have boy. We need a regulation. Until that time, they will not act. So, for this kind of like a very innovative idea, like really, really like a game changer for the like improving our human life but without that kind of political thing, right? I'm not sure that we'll have a like at the stage actually the FDA guys looking at the this kind of like a program of drug as a within of the like the compliance range or something like that.
All right, thanks, Alex. We will catch up later. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you. Bye now.
thank you. Okay, so there is some chat that ask about question. So how do you manage the latency and data exchange between the classical agent and the quantum processing unit? Specific question pattern. Actually, I didn't catch the default level of the what you talk about it. So could you ask about can you actually like explain your question? Right? Because you may be the better person to talk about. right?
Yeah, actually, and thanks for the insightful session. I'm a ardent follower. So dealing with a lot of this agentic systems, what I have seen, there are a lot of latency or the data exchange happens, and then when you are dealing with a quantum processing unit and or the topics like molecular simulation, so is there any way you suggest or any specific orchestration pattern you think or you have already come across that this can actually help in this possible synergy and also addressing these challenges?
Yeah, I'm not sure because I cannot give you the answer right now because that's a very engineering in the deep level engineering question, right? So unless I look at the detail like actual implementation and operation, I cannot give you answer, right? But I will look at this question and then maybe I look at it first, and then if I don't know, and then I ask about the more better the engineer in the deeper level and the engineering understand to what you talk about, and then I will give you the answer, right? So we are connected,
Sure.
right? So I will let you know, right? Because in the LinkedIn message, okay?
Sure. And the second one is also, so I am a new in quantum, but more in AI. So I am probably mixing towards the other one. So because quantum outputs are quite black box. So when they're being interpreted by an autonomous agent, for example, making this kind of clinical design choices, so how do you address the explainability or towards, more certainty?
Actually, the any AI is the traditional AI, right? Is a black box, right? And then for example, if the quantum AI use like quantum like machine learning, then machine learning part, yeah, they are the different process. They need a different like training. But anyways, if they are the algorithmically like traditional the neural network type or the machine learning type, they are all black box. So that's why that we need a special case of the like a pre protecting against the black box. Usually, that the current state of art is utilizing casual AI, like they know about the cause and effect. So you have an additional layer to looking at that space. And also another space that actually the mayor, my business partner attend today, but actually we working on physics informed AI is a base, they are deterministic because of the based on physics law. So they are all explainable. So they are not black box. So that depending on like your application, and then but as far as I know that we have several way actually that to provide explainable actually that not just for the explainable is more better because it's what the cause of the answer, right? Because what the outcome cause is. So that's one actually that we already published a paper, provide a paper or something like that. That topic is we already addressed. So that's one. I think that if you have some specific case and then specific use of the quantum computing integrated AI, then we can develop. That's one. To me, that we have several cases we already done. Yeah.
Sure. Thanks a lot.
Mhm. Okay, so no more question. Mayor, how are you? So yeah, maybe we'll stop today. Then I hope to see you again. And you know that because I think that today's question and insight was very helpful to me. Randy,
Oh,
see
I
you
got
again.
some feedback. I've been writing some stuff down that you guys have been talking about.
Uh-huh.
I'm not a scientist or a doctor, but I do have a great interest in, improving healthcare.
Hmm.
And one of my thoughts already is just how this could help with a medication that's already approved by the FDA, but changing the route of the use of the medication. As the scientists had brought up about, insulin, I know there's research being done for intranasal insulin, which can bypass the blood-brain barrier, and it's being studied for like various, diseases that are chronic, I think mainly in the elderly. I've also know that there's going to be 14 new peptides that are going to be approved probably within the year, and that's going to probably create even more interest in regenerative medication, especially since the GLP-1s have, skyrocketed in just their use, which I know, of course, pharmaceutical companies are aware of. So some people have asked me about the peptides not being a big thing, but I believe that the pharmaceutical industry will take a look at that just because of what's happened. And just
Yeah.
from in my field, I have already seen about, they already have an intranasal naloxone, and I've already thought about how there's a convenience if exploration will be done to add buprenorphine with the naloxone and make an intranasal spray that you wouldn't have to use now sublingually because
Yeah.
that would be very convenient for patients. I know that hasn't really been explored, and that would probably take some, again, time to assess how well it would work. But those are just ideas I have off the top of my head just from attending your great session again.
Thank you,
I always
Randy.
learn something. I learn
Randy,
Yeah.
something
great.
every time I go.
Randy, I just wanted to just sorry, Alex. I do work in obesity, diabetes most of my career, and so very, very, very familiar with the GLP-1s. In fact, was at the company that launched the first ones 20 years, almost 20 years ago now. Yeah, so the GLP-1 is a $100 billion market across 15, 20 different companies, and several of those products are already on the market for weekly administration, and they're good products. And that's one of the use cases that I was thinking about for this. Potentially something in this space. There's also, you also mentioned drug delivery. I'm a drug delivery scientist, so
Awesome.
making more convenient dosage forms is also something that I've done a lot of work with. So yeah, I was one of the scientists at a startup company that developed the Afrezza inhaled insulin product that's currently on the market. So, and the only commercial product. But there is really good modeling, which comes from PK, pharmacokinetics and pharmacodynamics, biological response, for making changes in dosage forms, changes in routes of administration. And there's a company called Simulations Plus that does a lot of that. I suspect they're incorporating AI into their paradigms because I think they could do things faster than they have in the past. I don't know. I know some scientists there. I actually should reach out to them because I mean I now can use what's not even commercially available in the public domain to do pharmacokinetics modeling that I could never do previously. So all of these tools are so rapidly advancing, and it's really things like Claude and these are simple AI tools. I can do some sophisticated things that I could never do before as a drug delivery scientist. So very, very, very helpful. And definitely, I think the disease spaces where there are multiple drug products approved for similar things, similar like in diabetes and obesity, docs can choose whatever they want to do. Those are approved products, and now you're not talking about developing precision medicine during the development process because that's pretty complicated and requires really large clinical studies. You're talking about now that we're out in the real world, we have products available. Doctors can choose what they give their patients. And so they can choose from approved products. So combinations of different products are used commonly in multiple disease states. And I think that's maybe a place to go with some of this kind of approach.
Well, thank you, Chris. Yeah, I think that's a great insight. Thank you for sharing. Okay, so Randy and Chris and other Chatya and everyone to attend today's webinar. So I think that I'm still developing the new idea because I'm very 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 innovative, but actually I really want to collaborate the industry experts like this one, right? Because the human life really kind of like relate to these kind of new innovations, right? And a lot of activities going on, and I want to contribute. So I really want to develop a new idea to share with other professionals. Okay, so hope to see you again in my next webinars. And then thank you for again and have a great day. Thank you. Take care. Bye bye.